Hey guys, what's up? So despite all the drama, Samsung has quietly launched the Exynos 2200, which will be seen inside the Galaxy S22 series. But before that, let's take a look at some of the updates on the S22 itself. Now, all the three phones in the series will be equipped with the latest Gorilla Glass Victus Plus, which hasn't been announced yet, but I guess would be soon, and will be more durable than the incredibly strong Victus that we have seen in a lot of flagships in the past couple of years. And yes, if you were wondering, the S22 is also getting a glass back this time around. The S22 Ultra's Spen will have a latency of just 2.8 milliseconds, which is almost 3 times better than the 9 millisecond latency of the Note 20 Ultra, and will give a paper-like feel when writing with the S Pen, since there is essentially no lag. This is one of the first things that we are hearing about the S Pen that will be bundled along with the phone, and other features of the pen are still under wraps, which is surprising to be honest. I mean, the phone's launch is just around the corner, but we haven't heard anything about the S Pen until now, which isn't the case generally, and we get to know almost everything by now. Exynos has also revealed that the main camera of the S22 Ultra will be wider than the S21 Ultra, which already has a wider main camera than the S20 Ultra. Also, the chin of the S22 and S22 Plus will be slimmer compared to the S21 and S21 Plus, which is just great. When it comes to the pricing, the S22 series might be $100 costlier than the S21 series, which is not what we had heard initially. The phones were supposed to cost the same as the outgoing models, but now we are hearing that the S22 would start at $899, the S22 Plus at $1,099, while the S22 Ultra would go for $1,299 for the base variants. I would have loved to see them stick to the prices of the S21 series, but I guess that's not happening. Also, the S22 Ultra has been certified by the Brazilian telecommunication watchdog Anatel, and it will indeed feature the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 SoC there as well. We are also hearing that the South Korean versions of the S22 series will also feature the Snapdragon chip and not the Exynos chip, which is the second time such a thing would happen after the Exynos 990. So it remains to be seen if Samsung would pair all the S22 Ultra models with the Snapdragon chip or not. Things aren't looking good for Exynos, to be honest, especially since the company would want to use Exynos for its home market at least, but that doesn't seem to be the case. So seems like Samsung hasn't been able to hit its performance goals with the Exynos 2200. Talking about the SoC itself, it is built on a 4nm Samsung EUV process, so in line with the Snapdragon there, which is also built using the same method. However, it is the first SoC to use the AMD RDNA 2 architecture for its GPU, which is said to be placed somewhere between mobile and console graphic processors, at least according to Samsung. Now, the GPU is named Eclipse 920, sort of merging the letter X that stands for Exynos and Eclipse, since they believe this will bring an end to the old era of mobile gaming and mark the start of an exciting new chapter. We'll have to see about that when the chips do hit the market. However, there are a few features that the processor brings to the market in the form of support for hardware accelerated ray tracing, which is generally seen on consoles and hasn't been done before in mobile graphic processors, as well as variable rate shading that optimizes GPU workload by allowing developers to apply low shading rates in areas where overall quality won't be affected, thus allowing the GPU to focus on areas that matter the most to the gamers and improve the frame rate for smoother gameplay. Samsung hasn't mentioned the clock speeds of the GPU, but rumor has it that they haven't been able to achieve the 1800 MHz speeds that they had planned and might have settled for 1300 MHz due to the power consumption and heat coming out of it, which could have resulted in throttling. We do have the GFX benchmark result for the Aztec Ruins test, and the Exynos 2200 managed a score of 109 FPS, which is way better than the 71 FPS of the Exynos 2100, so a 38 FPS boost, which isn't something to sneeze at. However, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 has a score of 143 FPS in the same test. So yes, they aren't very close in terms of the benchmarks, but we'll have to test how the Exynos 2200 performs in the real world, given the 8 Gen 1 isn't the best when it comes to sustained performance. You also get the advanced multi-IP governor, which helps enhance overall performance and efficiency. Coming to the CPU, Samsung will use the stock ARM cores in a 1+3+4 configuration with the Prime X2 core that might be clocked at 2.8 GHz, 3 Cortex A710s clocked at 2.5 GHz, and 4 Cortex A510s clocked at 1.8 GHz. Apart from the X2 core, which is clocked at 3 GHz on the Snapdragon, the rest of the clock speeds might be the same on both the chipsets. The CPU benchmarks are pretty much in line with the Snapdragon SoC, so not a lot of difference, with the Exynos scoring 1108 in single core versus 1235 of the Snapdragon on Geekbench, and a multi-core score of 3516 versus 3837. Don't get me wrong, there is a difference, but not to the extent that you would notice it in the real world. Samsung has made some real improvements with the NPU, which is now twice as powerful as the last one, allowing more calculations in parallel and enhancing AI performance, which would be responsible for the majority of camera improvements on the S22 Ultra that might have pretty much the same setup as the S21 Ultra. Talking about 5G, and the chip supports both millimeter wave and sub 6 GHz bands. It also comes with dual connectivity that combines both 4G and 5G to give you download speeds of up to 10 Gbps. The ISP is pretty much the same and supports up to 200 megapixel single camera and 108 megapixel at 30 fps to give you a zero shutter lag. It also supports HDR10 Plus and will be able to record 4K videos at 120 fps and 8K videos at 30 fps with the ability to play back both formats at double the frame rates. The chip can also support displays with up to 144Hz, but we are sure 120Hz is what we are getting on the S22 series anyway. So that's all there is to with the Exynos 2200 for now. The company hasn't really shared any performance numbers, so we'll have to wait for the announcement, which is taking place next month. And Samsung has released the unpacked trailer as well on the YouTube channel that showcases two smartphones that sort of collide and form a single phone. They're basically saying that they have merged the S&D Note series with the S22 Ultra, and that's exactly what the press release hints at as well. Thanks a lot for watching. Do hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more tech videos coming your way. I'll see you all in the next one. Till then, bye bye and stay safe.